All right, guys, welcome back to episode number 7. We're here at Spill the Beans in downtown Greenville. Great place. Love this place as far as coffee goes. I had to get my morning coffee in before I actually got started because I can sometimes feel like I'm asleep and it's just a corpse here. Anyways, we have a local as far as being in the area for the last 3 years. Her name's Christy Keely. She also goes by the Rocket. She's been cycling for I think about 15 years now. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
15 years, and she's gonna talk about the culture, how it's grown, and just talk about sort of like the road to becoming a professional cyclist. But Christy, how you doing this morning?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I've been keeping up over the last couple weeks about some of the things that you've been. I think you did cooked while you were on the bike. I think that's
Yeah.
that's a video that I think everybody keeps on talking about. But
Yep.
but anyways, how'd you get started in cycling? And just I guess talk about the journey. Some of the challenges that came up along the way. What were some of the things like that?
Well, I swam all through high school and college, and then after I finished swimming in college, I was looking for some way to channel my energy and uh, and really find a way to stay healthy
Mm-hmm.
after collegiate sports. And so I started getting into triathlon, and I met some people at the gym who were cyclists, pro cyclists, and there was this really hot pro cyclist that was teaching the spin classes,
Mm.
and so I started hanging out with him, and the only way to see him was if, of course, I went to the bike races, and I didn't want to just watch.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I remember the first one, I was like, well, why didn't you win? And he was like, well, if you think it's so easy, why don't you go do it? So um, he got me a bike and I went out and I started racing. So,
Well,
yeah.
and I guess that competitive spirit from playing high school and college. I mean, I can kind of understand because when I first got out and having like a full work schedule, I think I started taking jujitsu, and
Yes,
it's just that competitive nature that you grew up with. So you just want to just like it's like draw a parallel to something else you're gonna get involved in.
correct. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just a different way to channel your energy.
Mm. Well, I guess the biggest thing is mental toughness because you have I guess you see a long road ahead of you or maybe a hill or something like that. How does that play in cycling?
Oh my goodness. So that's actually a really good point is I thought for a very long time as a pro cyclist, I was competing at, the national level and I was doing okay,
Mm-hmm.
podiuming and all of that, just getting by on talent and hard work. But then when I started working with a head coach actually on, mental fortitude and really having your head in the game and goal setting,
Mm-hmm.
even in the event, that's when I, went from more of a national level rider to world class. So it made a huge difference. You have to train your mind just as hard as you train your body.
Because that's if your mind goes whenever you're trying to focus on or somebody gets you out of the game, and to tell you the truth, I don't know how. What are some ways that other cyclists will get in your head just by messing with you on the.
Well, there is what people don't realize is that cycling is a lot more like a soccer game. There's
Mm-hmm.
offense and defense, and there's a lot of teamwork that goes into that. Um, and different, there's offensive players and defensive players, and there's riders that their specialty is to go uphill, and there's other riders whose specialty is to sprint at the end of a race.
Mm.
And so, depending on what your job is, you might, let's say, try and get away from the group at the bottom of a hill. And so you need to know, like, oh, do I spend my energy to chase that person down, or do I know that that person can't hold that intensity for that long? And so that's going to be, those are something that you have to be mindful of all of those things, and should you call their bluff or not?
It's I guess um, like Brandon Bennett, we had a former NFL player that was on a couple weeks ago. He talked about just the mental aspect and just the confidence and knowing, of course, that the person can't hold out for that long. You'll know that
Correct.
that's when you can capitalize or jump ahead, and that confidence and knowing in that situation you're going to be able to do that is ultimately what can
Yes.
win races, I guess.
Yes. Absolutely. Just being familiar with your competition and knowing if they're making a we'd call it like a suicide move to sacrifice themselves for a
Mm.
teammate to win, or because if you chase after them, you might not have enough energy to go after their teammate in half an hour. So
Mm.
it's very, very much mental fortitude.
I heard that, and I think that can translate across the board to any sport.
Absolutely.
Talking about the culture and how it's grown. I guess you guys moved to the area because, or you and your husband, because it's I guess it's growing. What's that looking like? Let's say what's that going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Wow, that's a great question. Greenville's become a hub for professional cyclists.
Mm-hmm.
There are just so many people moving to town from all over the world. My husband and I came from. I mean, there's five of us from Michigan alone that are professional cyclists that have moved to town just because of the community and the culture. And um, what is really great is I think that the community realizes that cyclists bring economy.
Mm.
Um, and so they're really polite, when we do the camps and we have group rides, and they know that we're in town to spend money and buy, 3 and 4 entrees at dinner. And we eat a lot. We drink a lot of coffee, and we spend a lot of money in town. And I think that the community realizes that,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're embracing us instead of trying to chase us out of town like happens in a lot of other places.
Yeah, because I have seen a bunch of more paint going up on the road. As far as like just areas like North Main Street. As you're getting out of downtown, it used to be a 2-lane street, and then they switched over to 1 lane and had a bike trail, or not like a bike
Right.
path on one side.
Right. Yes. And that's of course they're trying to make it, a safe place for cyclists of all levels,
Mm.
not just professionals who are on the road all day.
Oh, and one more thing. What's like the safe and like the not safe as far as if there's a path, go on it. If there's not, like it's just like you have like the right side of the road, you got to hug the right, or is it
Right. So every, that is a huge can of worms. But I'll give you the Reader's Digest version.
okay?
So sidewalks are illegal for bicycles to be on. If you go in metro areas, you'll see signs on the sidewalks that say, no no bicycles, no skateboards, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then greenways like the Swamp Rabbit Trail often have speed limits like 20 mile per hour max, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good place for cyclists, but it's also, you've got kids on tricycles, you've got people walking, neighbors stopping and talking. So it's not a really good place to get your workout in if you're going 30 to 45 miles an hour. It's just not safe.
Mm.
So then that leaves the road. So when you're in town, that's really not a good place to do workouts either. But um, when you are in town, let's say you're trying to get home or out to do your workout out in a more rural area, it's really important to be respectful of the drivers. Um, don't take up the middle of the road, but do take up. I try to take up like the right third of the road,
Mm-hmm.
and then when a car does come to pass, go ahead and acknowledge them. Turn and look back, and then you have room to move over. Whereas if you're already on that white line on the far right side of the road, you can't give that nonverbal communication of acknowledging the car and moving over because you have nowhere to move over to.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't realize that you're trying to be courteous because you can't display that action of moving over. So
Well, that's
basically take
go.
the middle third or the right third and then move over when a car comes if you can.
Yeah. Okay, well that's good because I've got a bike recently, so I've been going all over the place. Last thing, just talk about a little about Total Cyclist, and I think you got something going on with ladies. And me, what's that Diva Camp?
Yep. So, Total Cyclist is actually the coaching company that I work for. It is out of Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
and we coach and we do nutritional counseling for all sorts of endurance and multi-sport and even NASCAR and motocross athletes all over the country. And then Diva Cycling Camp is actually a women's camp that it's been around, boy, for close to 10 years now. And it started off as a 1 day camp or one camp a year, and it was probably 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea of Diva Camp is that it is really good community, really friendly, supportive, and it's about teaching skills, confidence, bike handling, all the things that make a rider feel more empowered and safer on their bike. How to change a flat, how to do their nutrition, how to ride on the road, how to ride in a group. All the things that a new upcoming cyclist might want to know and be empowered through their bike. That's what Diva Cycling Camp teaches. And we've got camps all over. We've got one coming up in Marietta, um, just north of Greenville in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then our next one after that will be in Winter Garden, Florida.
Man, sounds like a lot of traveling.
It is, but it's a lot of fun. And we designed it so that, someone could go to every single camp and not feel any redundancy. Like everything is new. The one in Marietta is more like a camping kind of rustic cedar oak, cedar bunk beds and campfires, versus the one in Winter Garden, Florida, is bed and breakfast and a quaint little downtown.
Mm.
And then we go over different types of riding there as well. So there's no redundancy, and it's a lot of learning and a lot of education.
Heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was. Well, I know you gotta meet with your trainer in a couple minutes, so I'll let you go. But it was a pleasure, and I think that this video, just talking about like the culture and your background and everything, and just cycling in general in the next few years to come, I think will be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And she's known by the Rocket, so I'll let the Rocket go.
All right. Thank you so much, Andre.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye. And like we were talking about in here, there's a lot of parallels when it comes to mental toughness. Playing each sport, like me playing soccer, her cycling, football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, underwater basket weaving. There's a certain level of mental toughness or mental focus that if an opponent or just someone you're going against, just someone in general, can take that away from you if you let them. And being able to know why you're on the field or why you're on the court in your position, knowing what the coach expects of you, and focusing on that can, like Carolina playing Duke last night. You know, there's a lot of things that can really help you pull away that win. But anyways, hope everyone takes care, whether night, day, evening, morning, whatever time you're watching. Take care.